Neville Goddard was a famous New Thought author and mystic that lectured on many interesting topics like the power of the mind, manifestation, imagination, concentration, and so on. He had a lecture called How to Use Your Imagination, which, although not intended to increase your magnetism, it can be used this way. In fact, it can be used to whatever you so desire. I'll dissect it in this video and teach this technique step by step with the modifications so that you can use it to increase your magnetism. Neville starts by stating, "The purpose of this record is to show you how to use your imagination to achieve your every desire. Most men are totally unaware of the creative power of imagination and invariably bow before the dictates of facts and accept life on the basis of the world without. But when you discover this creative power within yourself, you will boldly assert the supremacy of imagination and put all things in subjection to it." He states that every other New Thought author also stated, your mind creates a reality. On this case, through imagination. But this is far more than wishful thinking or daydreaming, as you will realize soon. It's far more than thinking positive thoughts and everything will be okay. No, it requires more than this. There's an actual change inside of you, an energy movement that takes place for it to come true. Even so, you have inside of you the power to change your reality if you just know how to use it. He continues, "Now here is a practical technique. The first thing you do, you must know exactly what you want in this world. When you know exactly what you want, make as lifelike representation as possible of what you would see, and what you would touch. And what would you do were you physically present and physically moving in such a state? In other words, if you don't know what you want, how do you know what to aim for? In terms of magnetism, if you don't know how you would be different when you are magnetic, then how do you know what to change? It's important to have a very concrete picture inside of your mind of what it means." It chooses good examples to illustrate that technique. It says, for example, suppose I wanted a home but I had no money, but I still know what I want. Without taking anything into consideration, I would make as lifelike a representation of the home that I would like, with all the things in it that I would want. And then, this night, as I would go to bed, I would, in a drowsy sleepy state, the state that borders upon sleep, I would imagine that I am actually in such a house, that I were to step off the bed, I would step upon the floor of that house. Were I to leave this room, I would enter the room that is adjacent to my imagined room in that house, and while I am touching the furniture and feeling it to be solidly real, and while I am moving from one room to the other in my imaginary house, I would go to sound asleep in that state. And I know that, in a way I could not consciously devise, I would realize my house, I have seen it in my work time and time again. If I wanted promotion in my business, I would ask myself, what additional responsibilities would be mine were I to be given this great promotion? What would I do? What would I say? What would I see? How would I act? And then, in my imagination, I would begin to see and touch and do and act as I would outwardly see, touch and act were I in that position. And this works for magnetism the same way as it would work for a home or a promotion. Instead of imagining the representation of a home or the additional responsibilities of your promotion, you would imagine how you would behave, act and feel if you were already a magnetic person. He continues, "And I promise you, from my own experience, you will realize the state in which you sleep if you could actually feel yourself right into the situation of your fulfilled desire and continue therein until you fall asleep. As you feel yourself right into it, remain in it until you give it all the tones of your reality, until you give it all the sensory vividness or reality. As you do it, in that state, quietly fall into sleep. And in a way that you will never know, you could never consciously devise the means that would be employed. You will find yourself moving across a series of events leading you towards the objective realization of this state." In other words, it tells you that after you know exactly what you want, you will elicit this state and fall asleep into it. The two best periods for this picture change is falling asleep and waking up, preferably falling asleep. Those are the two periods where your conscious mind connects to your subconscious. The states where you fall asleep is called hypnagogic state. When you wake up, hypnopompia. Although there are other ways of achieving this state, and even more powerful ones, those are the easiest times for most people since we all go through it at least once a day. And instead of just falling asleep normally every other day, why not take advantage of this state that is usually useless for something that actually makes a difference in your life? Yet, this technique is not just about using imagination before you fall asleep. There's more to it. Here's what Neville has to say about it. My imagination puts me in touch inwardly with that state. I imagine that I am actually where I desire to be. How can I tell that I am there? So, if, as I describe my world, it is related to that point in space I imagine that I'm occupying, then I must be there. I am not there physically, no, but I am there in my imagination. In my imagination is my real self. And where I go in imagination and make it real, there I shall go in the flesh also. When in that state I fall asleep, it is done. I have never seen it fail. I'll repeat an important sentence he said. Where I go in imagination and make it real, there I shall go in the flesh also. The key here is make it real, which he describes in this last paragraph. In the last paragraph of this lecture, Neville actually gives the true key for this to work and to be more than just daydreaming and wishful thinking. This is the most important paragraph of this lecture. The one requisite is to arouse your attention in a way and to such intensity that you become wholly absorbed in the revised action. You will experience an expansion and refinement of the senses by this imaginative exercise and eventually achieve vision in the inner world. The abundant life promised us is ours to enjoy now, but not until we have the sense of the Creator as our imagination can we experience it. Persistent imagination, centered in a feeling of the wish fulfilled, is the secret of all successful operations. This alone is the means of fulfilling the intention. So let's translate this into terms that Charisma School students can understand. He says, arouse your attention in a way and to such intensity that you become wholly absorbed in the revised action. It's not enough to daydream. The more your attention is truly there, the more efficient your desire will manifest. If you have done our concentration mind control training, imagine the kind of power you would have if you used the Tratak process joined together with this technique that Neville shared. It would increase its power tenfold. But attention is not enough. He says, the persistent imagination centered in a feeling of the wish fulfilled. This last sentence is a complete alignment of your energy into what you are requesting. In other words, your energy or your vibration must be in this new wish fulfilled reality, even if your present life is not, which requires a change in your own personal energy. There are a lot of subtleties here, but the more experienced students can now understand how to use it. Access to our website, charismaschool.com, to get more information on personal magnetism, charisma, magnetic gates, and sexual energy, including trainings on all these topics. You may wish to subscribe to our newsletter to receive all the updates of new videos, articles, and courses.